Hi, June here with my thoughts for today, and today my thoughts will be revolving around Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. We'll be concentrating on Benjamin Netanyahu, who, well, I don't have to tell you that there is a lot that these two leaders have in common. They are strong leaders. That is the main thing. They are on the right. They are both conservatives, and I should talk about that someday, how Benjamin Netanyahu, he was an admirer of Ronald Reagan, and he adopted Israel in its early days was a very socialistic country, very left socialistic, which is causing a lot of the problems they have today. Netanyahu, who studied in the United States and was a great admirer of Ronald Reagan, all he did really is, if you read recently, Google just bought an Israeli company called Wiz for $32 billion. These just four young guys, God, am I jealous. 4 young guys founded this company, and I think they're walking away with $3 billion each. But anyways, Israel, the technological giant that it is today, and the thriving economy that it has, it's all, you can really trace that back to Benjamin Netanyahu when he was a finance minister. All he did was apply Reagan's policies that were working in the United States to Israel, and they worked just as well in Israel as they did here, and eventually it led to him becoming the longest serving prime minister in the history of Israel. So he and Donald Trump, who is obviously the consummate capitalist, they have a lot in common besides being strong leaders of two democracies. The United States, obviously the greatest, most powerful democracy in the world. Then you have Israel, who is often criticized or attacked as being a mini United States, being the only democracy in the Middle East. And, well, that's not true. If you count Iraq as part of the Middle East, it's a democracy now, right? They have a parliament, thanks to us, and removing Saddam Hussein, another story for another day. But there's something else that they have in common, which is, let me just go. This is a tweet, what inspired today's vlog, a tweet that's what I call him still, that Benjamin Netanyahu put on X. In America and in Israel, when a strong right-wing leader wins an election, the leftist deep state weaponizes the justice system to thwart the people's will. They won't win in either place. We stand strong together. We being Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. But, well, we all know about the lawfare against Donald Trump, and then 2 impeachments and all of the cases against him. Actually, I'm still wondering, is he still under the gag order from Judge Juan Merchant in that case back in New York, which Trump, I believe, is appealing, but is he still under the gag order after all this time and he's president of the United States? But anyways, we all know how the government, even in his first term, the 2 impeachments, the investigations, the January 6th committee, then all of this weaponization against of the Justice Department and the so-called deep state against Donald Trump. And you could say it's still going on today with all these court cases that are stopping him from deporting hardened criminals, Tren de Aragua members, and whoever heard of that organization, Tren de Aragua, until Biden let them all into the country. Now Trump wants to deport them, and these judges are stepping in to stop him. And, well, that's another story for another day. The point is, you may not realize the same thing is happening to Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. And in Israel, it's even worse because they have, I guess you call it a deep state too. They have a very The problem is, this is another story for another day, but because of the way their government works, which is very badly for a democracy, they're really a disgrace for the way, just the justice system, the way the justice system works, because the judges, retiring judges, the judges select their successors. The political Benjamin Netanyahu, unlike the President of the United States, the Prime Minister of Israel, has really no voice in choosing who sits on their high court. And they are, because the country was on the left, very far socialist when the country was reborn in 1948. You had a very left-wing court, and as the country itself has moved right, you still have a left-wing court, and because the judges have been essentially picking their own successors, and there's no way to have a right-wing court or a conservative court that reflects the will of the people. In fact, the left in Israel has the same problem that the left here has with, they're not engaging in vandalism, thank God, like all this firebombing of Tesla dealerships. And by the way, several people have already been arrested for doing that. That's another story. That news just came over now, just a few minutes before I'm recording this, the day before you're seeing it. So you probably know all about that, I hope. But anyways, because you never know what the mainstream media is going to report. So I hope you get your news from multiple sources. Anyways, so in Israel, so you have these right-wing courts, and they arrogated to themselves. Israel does not have a constitution like we have. They do not have a written constitution that a high court can hold up and adjudicate whether something, an action or a law, is violating the Constitution. So they just go by. They had a fairly responsible court, despite being very liberal court, for most of its history, until a certain Supreme Court Justice Aharon Barak, I believe his name is, suddenly arrogated all to these powers. He said, well, since we don't have a constitution, we will just decide. They just established a criteria that they call reasonableness. So they just decide whether a law is reasonable or not, and then he can strike it down. And you don't even have to bring a case, as in our system, to the Supreme. The Supreme Court that can't just reach out and grab something that they want to adjudicate or decide. Somebody has to bring a case. In Israel, that is not the situation. And even you can also, people who are not affected by a law or a decision can petition the court also to hear a case about something, even though the people would not have standing in our country. In Israel, they do. So you have all these, and then you have an attorney general. Now here in our country, the president nominates an attorney general, and then what's needed is the Senate, obviously, the advice and consent of the Senate. In Israel, that is not the case. Again, the legal system, the Prime Minister has no real voice or choice or power in selecting who the Attorney General is. But more important, in our system, the Attorney General serves at the pleasure of the President and advises the President. The Attorney General cannot fire the Prime Minister, cannot fire the President, and the Supreme Court cannot fire the President. But in Israel, the High Court can fire the Prime Minister, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the Attorney General can too. But now there is the Knesset, which is their legislature. They're supposed to hold a vote, if it hasn't happened already, very soon, to fire the particular the current Attorney General, because his Attorney General is reaching out, and the Attorney General, as I said, is advisor to the president under our system. In their system, Israel, the Attorney General can order the prime minister to do various things. Basically, the judiciary they're just like the Ayatollahs in Iran. Really, they have the same. Hopefully, they won't order the hanging of gays, but they can literally order anything, this high court. And what you're having now is all these cases are being brought against cases for corruption. That's what right now he is being tried for corruption in the middle of the war, while he's conducting a war, fighting Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran, and fighting in Syria, not fighting Syria, but fighting in Syria, fighting terrorists in Syria. And he is required, you probably don't know this, he is required right now, while he is a serving prime minister, while he is fighting a war, he is required to spend 3 days a week, 8 hours a day, 3 days a week in the court defending himself. And he's being accused of corruption, all kinds of that's what he's talking about in that tweet. He's on trial. You may not know that, for corruption, because a newspaper, their press is worse than us. That's another thing. Very left-wing press. I find it almost unreadable. And their press attacks them relentlessly. There was one paper, one website or something that was complimentary to Benjamin Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is being accused of bribing the editor of the newspaper to write something favorable about him. That's how ridiculous this is. And by the way, since we're talking about the justice system, do you know that Israel does not have jury trials? If you are accused of something, you're going to find yourself in front of a judge, and there will be no jury of your peers to judge you and to deliver the verdict. I have to say, as no Second Amendment either. So I have, actually you see people carrying rifles all the time, so maybe you can do that, but hard to carry a handgun. And actually, if you do get a license to buy a handgun, I'll digress here, they give you 50 bullets. 50 bullets, and that's all you get for your whole life. So you can't go out on a weekend or an evening and practice and become proficient. You get 50 bullets. That is it for life. I don't know if it's per gun, probably per gun, but can you even get more than one? But you get 50 bullets, and you have to account for each bullet. If you fire one of your bullets, you have to notify the government that you fired one of your bullets, and that you have 49 bullets left. Totally ridiculous. I'm Jewish, and I'm a Jew, and I am really, I'm embarrassed by Israel's system there. And then you read about all these demonstrations against, bring the hostages home, end the war, it's the anti-war left, and their press never reports that. But that it's the left that these demonstrations, they make it look like the country is up in arms and they're against Netanyahu. If there were an election today, Netanyahu would his party would win. Would get the most votes, and he'd have to it's parliamentary system. Then he'd have to put together a coalition. But these papers, what they report, and they never report that these are all left-wing protests. So just like our press here, which is just as bad, because all this, the vandalism and the Black Lives Matter, they're all on the left, except January 6th, and they were very happy to make sure that you knew that it was the right, that they were Trump supporters that did it. But they don't say that it was Biden supporters and Obama supporters doing all this rioting on the left. And you still don't hear much about the attacks on Tesla, and now they are doxing Tesla owners. And the really dumb thing is they say, if you don't want your car, your Tesla vandalized or firebombed, then you better sell it. Well, okay, so you sell it. So what happens to the person you sold it to? You tell them to sell it, and then that person, so now they're going to get firebombed. So that's how ridiculous they are on the left. But anyways, getting back, let me wind this whole thing up for today. It's just that Netanyahu and Trump, same thing, strong, conservative, right-leaning leaders, and they are being attacked just the same way. Whatever is happening to Trump, the same thing has happened to Netanyahu, happening to both of them, and that's why Netanyahu says we stand together. They stand together, and we should all be thankful that they do. And I'm thankful that you watch this today's vlog this far. If you did, if you have any comments, I'd love to hear them, and share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.